What's going on, guys? Zach here with another episode from the Landscaping Podcast. I'm pumped to have you tuning in, and today we're going to be talking about public speaking and how you can't let your fear of speaking to others rob you of sales. So I don't know if you know this about me, but I have done a lot of public speaking. I've stood on stages, I've run podcasts, I've run blogs, I've made a lot of YouTube videos, I've stood in front of audiences, I've stood in front of classrooms, I've had a lot of one-on-one sessions. I've done a lot of speaking in my time. My last 3 years in the military, I was an instructor, and during that time, I earned my Master Training Specialist certification, it's a difficult certification to get because you have to get over the biggest fear people have, which is speaking in front of people. And so basically, I would go and have myself be recorded teaching a class, and if you said 3 times or more, you failed. They would record you, distracting mannerisms, moving your hands too much. They basically would record you, put your video in front of the other instructors or the other MTSs, the Master Training Specialists. They'd pick you apart, tell you everything wrong with you, fail you, and tell you to do it again. And I'll tell you right now, you do it enough times and you learn to flip a switch to where, like right now, I can just go and there will be no filler words, there will be no distracting mannerisms. My rate of speech will be clear, I'll be able to articulate, keep a space between my words, but not be dull, boring. I will have inflection along with force. Now let's get rid of that and go back to speaking normal, which is my preferred method of engaging with people. But during that time in the military, and even before then, when I played football, I would be the hype man giving speeches in my circle with the Navy guys. I'd be going crazy, like rocking out with the guys. And so I've always done well with this. This was not an issue that I've had. But with that said, we're not here to talk about things that I'm good at or not good at, because there are other people struggling with certain things. And if it's a strength that I have or something I can share, then that's something I want to pass on to all the other, I'm going to say landscapers. But again, this is a landscaping podcast, but you could take this and apply it to anything. Now, when I speak and the examples I use, I'm obviously going to use the green industry because that is where I'm coming from. But take this and apply it to anything. Take it as a teacher. Take it if you're looking to just get into sales and marketing for businesses. Whatever it is you're looking to do, public speaking is one of the greatest strengths or skills that you can have, because at the end of the day, if we're going to say that life and just business itself is about the people, well, then it's about connection. And how do we connect as people? Well, visually, we see professionals, we see what right looks like, we know what we like, we see what we don't like. Kind of like food, you eat with your eyes before you actually taste it. Well, if you see something and then you got to taste it to know if it tastes good, when you're with somebody, if you're going to connect with them, first you visually size them up, then they speak. And that's where you've got to communicate and get your message across. So there's the sender, there's the receiver, and there's you guys in the middle. So basically you send it, they hear it, and they can bring it back to you. That's excellent communication right there. Now what I'm noticing, this isn't like a young person thing, and this isn't an old person thing. I'm noticing across the board, public speaking, or just communication at large, is a skill set that not many have had to develop. When I taught social studies at the local middle school, one of the main things I did was have the kids come up and they would give a presentation on a subject of their choosing. I would let them choose what they wanted to talk about. I would make it somewhat around the curriculum as to what we were discussing, so it was relevant to the class, but they'd have to stand there in front of their peers and speak about something. And it wasn't about just giving reports. It wasn't about having them teach so I could sit in the back of the class. What it was about was developing the skill set to do what I'm doing right now, connecting with other people. Because I knew when they went to high school, the friends they made and the connections they could form, that's going to serve them better than just every single piece of information they could memorize. And the same thing with college. Outside of very specific jobs requiring degrees, I think college, the best part of it, is the networking aspect. Being able to speak and connect with the people, because those people might go on to start businesses or develop, skills that you could use in your business later in life. And so building a network of people is probably the greatest skill that you could have, because you've always, they say there's an app for that. You'd always have a person for that. And so communication is how you connect, and it's how you grow that network. So again, this isn't a young person thing or an old person thing. It's just a skill set that not many people have worked to develop. We have to develop it. And here's how it's costing you sales. Imagine that you're walking by and you hear a couple talking about how they want to get rid of the bushes, or they got a tree that they hate. You don't know how to enter that conversation because you avoid it almost like conflict. Like, well, I don't want to speak to strangers. Or you could say, excuse me, I just overheard you guys are talking about that big tree in your way. Just so you know, the company that I work for, that's what we do. So I've got a card. I'll leave this with you. If you're interested in discussing more, if you'd like to talk now, we could talk about what that would look like, and let's make it happen. Maybe we could get that tree out of your way. So no matter what it is that the discussion's going around, no matter what the situation is, you'd be comfortable engaging like that. And I think about the young guys walking around pushing their mower, trying to make a buck. And I'm talking like the young teens who are just trying to make their way in the world. If you're comfortable addressing people, and if you're comfortable going up to a door and knocking on the door and saying, hey, I'm little Jimmy, I'm walking around, I'm looking to start my lawn care business, and I saw a few properties that I really thought, like, if I could put a little polish on it, really bring them to life. I saw your property, and I really think it's one of those. So here's what I'm offering. This is what it would cost, and here's what I would do, and here's what I think it would bring to your property. And so if you're interested, I can give you my name, my number, and you can call me, or I guess at that age, you can call my parents, and they'd send me over, or we could talk right now if you'd like it to be handled on the moment. If a kid could come up, I'm telling you right now, if a child came up to me, if a young teen came up and said, hey, he pitched his services, I'd 100% be on board, because it takes courage to do that. It is not easy to put yourself out in that way. And I understand that, but I also understand, and I've taught both my son and daughter this, you've got to control your fate. So as soon as my kids could speak, I had them ordering their food. I had them telling my wife and I what it is they needed. I didn't try to just solve the problems like they had to tell us. I had them choosing their haircut and telling the hairstylist. So my kids have been talking to waiters. They've been talking to doctors. They've been talking to us. They've been talking and speaking and communicating with everyone because I knew how important the skill was. And so I trained that. Now, if you're listening to this, obviously you're not a child. You're not one of those young bucks running around. You're an adult, at least an older teenager, most likely, through somebody who's into adulthood. This skill set's one that you could develop not with ease, but with practice. The practice would be easy. Developing the skill is not hard. You just have to get out of your own way. And the number one piece of advice that I could offer you as far as like how to start this process, 2, 3, probably 4 number one pieces. So I've got 4 number ones here. 1, you've got to stop telling yourself you can't do it. You've got to stop saying, well, I can't do public speaking. I can't talk to people. Like, I hate the word can't. I'd rather you use the F word. I've told my kids this since they were like kids. I'd rather you say the F word than can't. Because can't means you've just eliminated yourself from ever achieving what it is you want to do. It can be done. It just might take more work. So stop telling yourself you can't talk to people. You can. It's just going to take some practice, and you haven't had to put that in yet. The other part of this is when you're speaking, everybody else is listening. I've actually had quite a few people ask me when I would do public speaking on stages about like life coaching, motivation, things like that, speaking about family. How do you go up and just do that? How do you freestyle a speech? And I'm like, listen, I'm there to speak. You guys are all there to listen. You're all there to watch what it is I have to say and hear the message and take it and apply it or ask questions about it to get clarification. I'm not watching myself. I'm not picking myself apart. I'm going up there and doing the best that I can do. Now, there are social cues I can take, like if a student's falling asleep, I'm being boring. If someone is, squinting their eyes and you can kind of see them thinking, I've got to clarify something. I'm being a little confusing. Maybe the examples I'm using aren't landing. So maybe I'll change my example, or maybe I'll change my tone and I'll get pumped to get the kids fired up. I take social cues, but what I see other people do that really messes them up, it's like they watch themselves in the conversation. So there's the them that's talking to the person. Then there's the them that is sitting there analyzing themselves while they're talking to the person. And if you're going to split your mind like that, well, of course you're not going to get the full communication because you're kind of rambling. Because you're not taking the cues, you're not sending and receiving. You're just sending and watching yourself. And now you're like, well, you're talking too fast. It's like the joke that's running around. It's like, shut up, Mom. Silence from talking. You shut off. Whatever it is. It's like you got to give yourself permission to just speak to somebody and view your words as valuable enough and yourself as valuable enough to take up time in that person's life. If you can't do that, you're going to miss so many sales. When you hear people talking about issues that you could talk to them about and let them know, hey, I could fix that. You could pay me to come take care of that. You're going to miss that. If your customer comes out and they're like, hey, thanks for building this patio. We're looking to have some irrigation put in and we're looking to do this, we're looking to do that. And you just can't come up with the fact of saying, did you know we're also licensed in irrigation? We can do that for you. But you're just going to look at them because you're afraid to talk. Or if you're a younger person and you think that because they're older, you shouldn't say anything, you're going to continue to like give yourself reasons and justification as to why you should not speak up. So you're either going to be afraid of the customer and not even bring up that you have other services to offer, or people are going to talk to you and you're going to think that your words aren't valuable, or that in some way you're not the right person to be saying the message. And again, all of this costs you money. All of it costs you opportunity. You know, one of the things that I have stressed quite a bit to Shay and to everybody is that when you go up there and just speak truth, speak from the heart, you're not going to have issues. Like, what does it matter if you stutter? You don't have to call it out. Just keep rolling. What if you mess up and you say the wrong thing? Like, laugh at it. It's okay. Nobody's perfect. Let the people in the audience know, who are also probably afraid of public speaking, that you're up there doing your best and you're trying and you're doing what it is you can do to make this thing like enjoyable and engaging. Sometimes it's not. You know, but I told Shay, man, I was like, dude, you just go do you, you'll be fine. And he's crushed it to the point where we have other speaking opportunities coming in after we've already done a few. And prior to that, there was none. So basically it was like, all we had to do was say, we've got something to say. And then everybody else was like, oh, cool. We want to hear it. Come in and talk to our people. And I think Shay currently is on his third invitation for speaking. We just did the youth revival. We did one for, I believe it was the North Carolina Irrigation Foundation or Board. I can't think of the title right now. But with all of this, the point is we put ourselves out there, we let them know we had something to say, and we viewed ourselves as worthy of saying it. It shouldn't be somebody else taking the stage, it should be us, because we've got things to say. And this podcast is another example. Why did we start a podcast? There are how many landscaping companies in the county? How many are running this? So it's not like we were doing what was normal. We basically grabbed a machete and started bushwhacking our way to form our own path as to what we wanted to do and how we saw it as being the right thing to do. And we've gotten a lot of feedback, a lot of positive feedback, that people are enjoying the episodes and they're learning about our industry and they're getting to see more about who we are and what we stand for. And so when I tell you guys that, like, I've been on stages and I've done a lot of, I've led Zooms, like I've led all these different kinds of discussions in front of people, you know, from being an instructor to all the way just having those one-on-ones to whatever it is, you know, even coaching youth sports. I have had a lot of different style reps, and still I have so much passion for this because I think it's such an important skill set for one to develop. I enjoy talking about these ideas. I enjoy good discussions. And it's like, you sound like a nerd saying that. You sound like you're almost pretentious, like, look at me, I'm so sophisticated. I love long conversations and philosophical musings. But I'm like, dude, I do. Like, I do enjoy those things. And it's not from an air of like, I love to just sit and talk and hear myself speak. At the same time, I enjoy talking about this stuff. I am by myself right now talking to a camera through this mic. And so there has to be a part of it where I'm like, I like being able to put my energy into the world. And it's my hope that in doing so, other people are going to realize, man, maybe he's not crazy. Maybe that's something we could all do. Maybe we could all shine a little brighter. Let our opinions and our voices be heard. Let people know we exist. Let them know where we stand when the line's drawn. And when you do all of that, you can make it crystal clear that that's how you find your people. Like, this is who I am and where I stand and what I'm all about. And then your people find their way to you. And now you're having a great conversation with them about the things that you guys like to talk about. And you can swap ideas. You can get to know things. I can tell you right now, I've had a lot of conversations about fatherhood and family. It's made me a better husband. It's made me a better father. I've had a lot of conversations about landscaping. It's made me a better landscaper. And so if you want to be better at what it is you do, talk to other people about the same thing that you're doing their own way. I could talk to somebody who's a white-collar accountant, and they're going to talk to me about how they manage money or how they think about money. That would help me personally with my personal finances. That would help me professionally with the finances of the company. But that has nothing to do with my world. But it's about the same subject. You find your people in that one area of discussion, and that's the beauty of it. You don't have to get along with everything, but when you speak up, your ideas go out in the world. And that's where the arena is, where we all start talking about our ideas. All of that boils back down to you getting out of your own way and giving yourself permission to be heard. And no longer telling yourself you aren't the one to talk or you don't have anything to say. Of course you have something to say. We all do. So give yourself permission to say it. That's the bigger situation we're facing here. Do you think you're worth saying these things? Why you? You got to have an answer to that. And if you find that answer, you're going to realize all of a sudden you're making more sales because you're putting yourself out in the world People are getting to hear you. They want to work with you. They know you. They want to have you onto their stage. That's going to expose you to other people. Then you continue to expand and grow. That compounds. And all of a sudden, that network that was this big went to this big. And you're finding success. And people will say, oh, you're lucky. Or, oh, must be nice. And in all reality, they don't understand how much work you did to develop this skill, to go out there and to overcome the fear, and to let your voice be heard. If you want to thrive in business, you've got to view yourself as worthy of taking people's money for the skills and the craft that you are going out there and the services you're providing. And to do that, you've got to let them know you can provide those services, and speaking is how we do that. So if you're going to choose a skill set to work on or something to address in the coming year, you want to finish this year strong, maybe create an end of year resolution, work on putting yourself out there more by making more videos for social media and just talking to your own platform or standing in front of people. There's a thing called Toastmasters where you can learn to stand up and how to conduct yourself. There's a lot of opportunity out there. But again, like anything, the doors don't open unless you reach out, grab the handle, and pull. So it's like the whole God will steer, but you've got to row. Well, the door will open, but you've got to reach out and grab it. I believe you can do it. Now the question is, do you believe you can do it? Go out and show me. Show yourself that you want to do this. Go get after it. Start making that money. Appreciate you guys tuning in to this episode of Landscaping Podcast on public speaking. There will be many, many more around these different skills you can develop. I'm really glad we got to hit this one today because, again, this is something that I enjoy doing. And if you ever want to know more about how to develop this, or if you want some like one-on-one coaching and you want to ask some questions, just reach out. I'd love to have the conversation and let you know whatever it is that I've gone through, or maybe some stories or tips or tricks that I can share with you to help you set yourself up for success. You guys stay well.